The House voted 221 to 209 in the early hours of Wednesday morning to approve the bill. Janet Yellen said that she warned the debt limit could be reached on Wednesday, leaving Congress little time left to resolve the issue. A first-ever default could have sparked economic disasters, and party leaders on both sides of the aisle have made it clear that it must be prevented. Despite pleas from officials and watchdogs about the consequences of defaulting, Republicans remain steadfastly opposed to supplying votes to raise debt ceiling.
Hope to pass it in January. Of course, in the meantime, some things are going to expire, like that child tax credit, which the last payment went out on the 15th of this month. They were hoping to avoid a gap in that. It looks like there will be a gap. And then, of course, Senator Manchin is the one who just remains unconvinced simply on this. Him and 50 Republican senators, I should say. He's worried, I think, about inflation in particular, and so they're wrangling on that. Biden's statement yesterday, though, crucially said he thinks Manchin still supports the total dollar value, Tom.
Josh, we usually don't do the political rap here, but I think for our international audience on a Friday, we need the Wingrove translation of a gentleman who will be 80 years old next November, and the percolation in your orbit of what's next for the president, the vice president, and the Democratic Party. Is this like an actual conversation going on in Wingrove land?
It's an actual, Wingrove land is a great place to be normally, you know, but it is a conversation that they've been trying to tamp down. They sent, for instance, Vice President Harris and Secretary Buttigieg, of course, two of the top people that might, be the next Democratic nominee at some point, if and when Biden is no longer that person, 2024, 2028, what have you. They send them on the road together to sort of, an act of unity.
In response, Congress passed legislation last week to create a fast-track process to allow Democrats to raise debt limit in the Senate with the help from Republicans. It was expected that Democrats would raise debt limit by an amount sufficient to ensure that the issue would not need to be addressed again. Analysts have said a mild recession would likely be the best-case scenario in the event of the U.S. government defaulting on its debt. Failure to raise the debt ceiling in time could have also halted the payments that millions of Americans rely on, including paychecks to federal workers, Medicare benefits, tax refunds, and Social Security checks, and payments to federal contractors. Congress has been struggling for months over how to address the limit. In October, following weeks of partisan deadlock over the issue, lawmakers passed a short-term debt limit extension to December, after Democrats and Republicans reached a deal to avert a government shutdown. Top Senate Democrats are shifting their focus to voting rights, as Joe Manchin pumps the brakes on the party's hopes of passing a sweeping spending bill by Christmas. Joe Manchin and Biden remain miles apart on the roughly $2 trillion Build Back Better bill. And a White House insider said if Joe Manchin needs more time on the Build Back Better, Joe Manchin will get more time, not as a courtesy but because there is no other choice. So, the Build Back Better would expand programs like Medicare, provide universal pre-K, and fund anti-climate change initiatives. It has led the centrist senator to voice concerns on a bill and its impact on inflation. And Senate Democrat Kirsten Sinema is now doubling down on her support for the 60-vote legislative filibuster, throwing a wrench into the frantic, last-ditch effort to get a deal to change the Senate's rules before the end of the year. Her statement on the topic comes as a group of Democratic negotiators tasked with leading discussions have been holding a flurry of behind-the-scenes talks about how to change the rules and break the stalemate on long-stalled voting rights legislation. Now, while Sinema is making it clear that she supports voting election reform bills that have been blocked by GOP senators, she is also standing by her support for keeping the 60-vote legislative filibuster and warning against a carve-out from the rule for voting rights. A spokesman for Sinema said that she continues to support the Senate's 60-vote threshold, which she believes will protect the country. Thank you again for your support, everybody. If you have any more questions about this, leave them in the comments below. Until next time, have a great day.
Mr. President, distinguished faculty, I learned a long time ago that if you wanted to get anything done with Jim, you went to his wife. All kidding aside, the story Jim tells is absolutely accurate. I got what we call in my own neighborhood in Claymont, Delaware, I got shellacked in the first 2 primaries. I kept saying, I'm waiting to go to South Carolina. No, I mean it sincerely, because I come from a state that has the 8th largest African American population, and that's the source of all my support in Delaware, for real. And I got down here, and things were moving pretty slow. And I remember Miss Emily saying to me, and I heard her say it to Jim, we should be for Biden. And she's an incredible woman. I'll speak about her a little bit. But you know, not only did we win, I think we won every single district. And I just want you to know it matters. And Jim's saying to you, you know, if you don't succeed at first, try again. Well, a lot of you have already figured out that you can do anything you want to do if you set your mind to it. But one of the things that most people don't focus on anymore is there an awful lot of people like Jim, like me, like Ms. Emily, like a lot of you, who no one expected to do something significant. I come from a family raised in a 3-bedroom split-level home with 4 kids, a dad, mom, and a grandpa. We were fine, don't get me wrong. We weren't up by our bootstraps, but we were, I guess, technically lower middle class economically. And I used to stutter really badly. And stuttering is the only thing everybody can still laugh like hell at, but it's devastating to a stutterer. If you ever saw the King's Speech, it's worth seeing. And I had trouble talking till I was well into high school. And but I was convinced that my mother would say, never bend, never bow, never kneel, never give up. Just get up. Just get up. And that's one of the things I like so much about HBCUs, which I've been part of for a long, long time. The reason I got elected in 1972 was because of an HBCU called Delaware State University. They organized for me. So, folks, you're inheriting an incredible tradition graduating from this university. On Inauguration Day, I placed my hand on the Bible and looked out toward the National Mall. And what I saw a South Carolina State